Hey guys, Henry here welcomes you in another video of Archaeology Unveiled. And in today's episode we will uncover the language of the gods and angels and some secrets of Enochian language. So stay tuned to learn more about it. The Voynich manuscript contains unexpected symmetries, and the history of the enormous rock orb with its own atmosphere moving through space. Or to put it another way, our natural habitat, the Earth, informs us of the existence of numerous old languages as well. However, there is one mythological language that sticks out among the others. This is due to the fact that this language was developed similarly to all others on Earth. It is termed the language of God for this reason. The history of Enochian, the angelic language still employed by various movements, occultists, Satanists, and even in the blockbuster film Stargate, is revealed if you stick with us to the very end of the video. The Enochian was first mentioned in a document around 1581. Then, according to what John Dee wrote in his diary, God sent him an angel who instructed Edward Kelly and him in the fundamentals of the language they would use to connect and communicate with the beyond. Like every other language, the language of angels has its own alphabet, grammar, and syntax. The two communicators meticulously entered all of the provided data into their journals. The new language is referred to as Enochian because, according to John Dee, the biblical patriarch Enoch spoke in it when he interacted with God. John Dee was alive between 1527 and 1609. He served as Queen Elizabeth's advisor and was a well-known mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, and practitioner of the occult. He devoted the most of his life to pursuits in divination, alchemy, and Hermetic philosophy. He worked on his abilities at West London's Mortlake. The scientist graduated from St. George College in Cambridge, and afterwards, his natural talents as an analyst and orator, which he refined, raised him to become a personal advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. He provided technical guidance and navigation as an advisor to the English exploration expeditions. He is credited with providing the British Empire, a word he first coined, with intellectual legitimacy. During his youth, Dee showed no interest in the world of the supernatural. But later on in his life, this drastically altered. He even gave up on his scientific research to focus solely on occult knowledge. Dee established one of the most extensive private libraries in England and the rest of Europe, which contains a variety of books and manuscripts. His Mortlake residence therefore developed into a hub of learning outside of academic institutions, drawing in a large number of scholars. Dee dedicates himself to the pursuit of old spiritual truths and understanding. He claimed that although this inheritance was lost to the passage of time, it was still preserved in the writings of antiquity. The mythical, particularly at the time, Book of Enoch is one of these old books. Dee is adamant that the magic system that the biblical patriarch Enoch once employed must be detailed inside. You can watch a thorough film about the Book of Enoch on our channel. The term Enochian for the language comes from the name of the biblical character Enoch, who possessed mystical abilities and magical wisdom, and who at the end of his earthly existence was transported alive into God's realm. This is how the Old Testament verse, "And Enoch lived after the commandments of God, and was no more, for God took him as understood." 5:24 Genesis. John Dee conducted a series of supernatural events between 1581 and 1585. His endeavors had not begun well, but in 1582 everything began to change. Then he meets Edward Kelly, who immediately makes an impression on him. Dee hires Kelly as a collaborator and starts devoting his entire attention to his paranormal investigation. They start to communicate with angels. These gatherings, also known as spiritual conferences or acts, are conducted in accordance with very rigorous Christian traditions, and they are always followed by fasting, prayer, and cleansing periods. They also employed mirrors made of unusual materials, mystical crystal spheres, etc. Dee is adamant that it is these gatherings themselves that will benefit humanity the most. In both of their journals, hundreds of spiritual conversations are noted, along with their notes in a language they refer to as Enochian, whose letters are non-English. According to John Dee and Edward Kelly, angels revealed the Enochian alphabet to them during spiritual conferences by dictating to them and showing them tables and writings that were written with these letters. Dee asserts that the angels gave them multiple volumes in this manner. The usage of tools like a black polished obsidian mirror and crystal balls by the two occultists during the course of their deeds is supported by both tangible evidence and written records. The roles were also uniformly allocated. Dee served as the seance's mediator and was given the commissions of the archangels. A conference stone was placed on the table at the conclusion of each meeting, which lasted anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and the angels were asked to confirm their attendance. Dee and Kelly studied the stone while meticulously noting every detail of what they heard and saw in their journals. Divine messengers informed Dee and Kelly during their seances that those who participated in this kind of ceremony would be rewarded with superhuman abilities that would allow them to change the political landscape of Europe. Additionally, they were told that they would even turn into harbingers of the end of the world. Dee was adamant that what he was doing will be extremely advantageous for future generations, so he wrote everything down in a collection of manuscripts and journals. The esoteric scientist never refers to the language as Enochian, at least not in the works that he left behind. It is interesting, nevertheless, that he talks of it with great reverence, choosing to refer to it as angelic, heavenly word, or first language of God Christ, and on occasion, in unique circumstances, he even calls it Adam's. He explains the latter by making the claim that Adam used this terminology to name the creatures that God had shown him in the Garden of Eden. There are two variations of the Enochian alphabet itself. The discrepancies between the two are mostly caused by a few different components. The first of 5 books titled collectively Books of the Mysteries has the original version, which may be found in Dee's manuscript. The Liber Logoth contains the second version, which is far more frequently recognized. It is thought that Edward Kelly was the author. Right-to-left reading is used throughout the text, and some letters have distinctive accents. Of course, the Enochian letters have English equivalents, and some of them are even pronounced similarly to how they do in English. But the majority of letters differ greatly. The usage of Enochian is a component of Enochian magic. Additionally, it has the so-called Enochian keys or angelic keys engraved on it. While he was in Krakow, Poland, in 1584, Edward Kelly was given access to them. He recorded them as a series of 19 magic spells in his diary that same year. Each of these is made up of 48 poetry verses that represent the several roles in the Enochian magic system. They have original Enochian writing. Their present translation is based on an Old English translation that John Dee himself made. The fact that part of John's original and legitimate notes have been lost has led to a variety of theories on the significance, dependability, and ultimate legitimacy of the Enochian passages. Many spiritualists are convinced that it was the first language spoken on Earth before any other human languages emerged. Other esoteric societies hold the belief that the language, in addition to having magical power, has the capacity to communicate information from other realms. Modern occultists have made enormous strides in their understanding of the original writings discovered in Sir Hans Sloane's collection, but they are sadly unable to replicate the entire Enochian system of Dee and Kelly. A disjointed system of magic has been produced by numerous groups of occult authors based on shaky research and studies. The Enochian language gained popularity as a result of the same occultists. Names like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn Group, Mystic Aleister Crowley, Isri Pragardi, and Anton Sandor LaVey, the creator of the Church of Satan, are among them. The Enochian keys are frequently used in Satanist rituals, and some groups even embrace the full Enochian language family. For instance, the arch through which gateways between many planets are opened was represented by letters from the Enochian alphabet in the 1994 movie Stargate. Enochian chess is one instance of a contemporary incarnation of Enochian magic. It serves as a tool for divination as well as a game. According to rumors, it was first used in John Dee's initial tables. Because of its complexity, it calls for a thorough understanding of the Kabbalah, geomancy, tarot, alchemy, and astrology. Many of the original artifacts that belonged to John Dee and his co-occultist Edward Kelly are still on display at the British Museum. Their joint life journey of seeking out direct God contact and discovering the mysteries of the divine does not have a very happy ending. Their relationship is strained as a result of their being nomadic wanderers with their families in search of financial guidance from wealthy, strong, and well-meaning occultists. At a special conference in Bohemia in 1587, Kelly revealed to Dee that the angel Uriel had commanded them to share a wife. This was the climax of everything. Dee is very distressed by the directive. He was dating his second wife at the time, who was about 30 years his junior. He allowed the commitment to be kept, though he didn't doubt the veracity of what was uttered. He abruptly ended the conferences following that. Ever since, he hasn't seen Kelly. However, Kelly was considerably more sought after than Dee at this point due to his rise to prominence as an alchemist. It is assumed that the words were spoken on purpose to allow their spiritual conferences to close without needless justifications and exhortations. In 1589, Dee went back to England. To his surprise, he discovered his library in ruins after 6 years of wandering. His tools and many of his priceless books were stolen. Once more at a standstill, he requested assistance from Queen Elizabeth, who appointed him rector of Manchester's Christ's College. By royal charter in 1578, this previous college of priests was re-established as a Protestant organization. He does not do very well in exercising authority at the university, and is loathed or betrayed by his colleagues, but he continues to serve as rector until his passing. Elizabeth dies in the midst of this, and King James I, who had a strong aversion to anything supernatural, offered no assistance. Dee spends his final years in poverty at Mortlake as a result of the search for the divine contact coming to an end. He was obliged to sell some of his assets in order to feed himself and his daughter Catherine, who took care of him up until the end. At the age of 82, he died at Mortlake in late 1608 or early 1609. According to John Dee, Enochian is the language of God, the language the Creator used to give the cosmos and everything in it an objective shape. Similar to Adam, angels also spoke this language, but they lacked the intricacies and finesse of the heavenly tongue. The angels had to put up with Dee's rough and sloppy pronunciation when he spoke to them. Human languages, in contrast to the richness of Enochian, sounded like baby rattles. Adam and Eve were exiled from paradise after the unsettling incident at the Tree of Knowledge and that infamous apple, but they brought the Enochian with them, the same one Adam had used to give everything a name. John Dee contends that Enochian eventually deteriorated through time to become Proto-Hebrew. As a result, over time, we progressively lost contact with the angels. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on the subject. On our channel, you can find more intriguing information. Share this video and the channel to show your support.